Oh, hell. If you guys don't know who we are, I'm Kimmie Cannabis. This is Ashley Nicholle, and we are Canna Talk About It.
That's right. We are a safe place.
We are a safe place, and you are welcome here. And if you have a story to tell,
then hit us up.
Like these gals with their very powerful story. I'm excited.
Yeah, y'all are about to hear some very impactful information, and we hope that you will take the information that you hear today and be active on that, and you will understand that a little bit sooner, a little bit later in the story. It's very important that the story that these ladies are going to tell affects every one of us across the world in one way or another. And so you guys know that you can't just make something happen. It all starts somewhere. So they're starting somewhere to try to make a move and to correct some action that needs to be taken. So.
Yeah, we'll learn how to get activated. We're going to learn a lot about like how to get activated and stuff today. Let's take it away.
We've got Miss Lynda Steele, who is a former councilwoman and veteran. She was the Libertarian Oklahoma Attorney General candidate in 2022. She is also a rigger.
Yes. So she is in a male-dominated field. She's sets up the concerts in the venues, like at the big arenas.
All the
the lighting stuff, all of that stuff. So she's like she was a veteran.
Yes.
Or she is a veteran. She wasn't a veteran. She is a veteran. And she does that. So she's definitely in male-dominated fields. So I want to get her opinion on some things about that. And then we have
Miss Brittany Roberts. And Brittany was a very, very, very abused woman in a domestic violence case that was aired on Dr. Phil in 2012.
Yeah, and I think they had another one too.
Then it aired again later. There was a follow-up and maybe another after that. I listened to the first entire Dr. Phil episode on my way down the turnpike today. You kind of hear my opinion on that in a little while, but kind of shook, honestly, like to my core, hearing what I heard about what she went through, and she's gonna, divulge some of that to you all as well, and which later resulted into a DHS case and other issues. So,
and I think that's what brought them to help this group, that it has this petition, this grand jury petition.
Right, and this grand jury petition is regarding the child abuse and the direct neglect that has happened through the Oklahoma Department of Human Services and other human services. And they are going to tell you a lot more about that petition.
I've got to get up to push they're going to join us button.
They're going to join us, but she's got to push the button.
So, yes, I wish I had a little yeah. We have not done this before, so this is very
new to us.
Yes, I'm really excited here. Hopefully, look, they're going to be on.
Go ahead. Oh, there they are.
Oh, this is perfect.
Hello?
Perfect.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi,
Can you guys hear us?
Let me see if I can.
Hi. Can you hear us?
Kind of. Hang on.
Let me turn this up and see if it's because of my thing not being up well.
Why is it so dark beneath? I like it. It's like a whole ambience.
You just have to project your voices for sure.
Hey guys. Hello. I'm just kidding.
How are you?
I don't know. It kind of sounds quiet to you. Do we sound quiet?
No.
We never sound quiet.
No one ever tells us we're quiet.
We're trying to yell. Let me see.
There's a mic there.
I mean, I see a mic, but I can't press it.
How can we fix that?
I don't know.
What do that? I can't do anything.
Is your volume turned up all the way? It shouldn't matter though, huh? Okay, well you guys just talk.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us about yourselves. Tell everybody what you're doing right now, and just kind of your mission and what we're here to help you support.
First of all, welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
we're here because the Oklahoma County petition, we need signatures. The deadline is soon. We need 5,000, and we have gotten like, we're kind of like individuals trying to reach this goal. It's
So how
hard.
many signatures do you have right now?
So I can kind of help answer some of these questions because we were pulled into this because of our stories, right? Because of our backgrounds, but we weren't the ones who filed this petition. We've been parents and activists, you know, who have been wanting to see change in the family court system, change in DHS, change, you know, in parental rights that deal with custody issues. And so we were both kind of brought in by another lady who has Oklahomans for Children Rights, and for lack of a better word, they had a great idea with this petition, but they didn't have it organized, you know. So we jumped in, full hands in, you know, yes, we want to see this, you know, we only need 5,000 signatures, but we decided, we actually met through that. So we've been friends now for about like 6 weeks, and we met.
That's awesome.
We met, you're so silly. And we came up with our own plan. And we saw that, you know, we can make a connection in the community by this petition effort. You know, a lot of that resonates with parents who also smoke cannabis, because we're still liable to the discrimination of the state when they say things like, you know, you're a drug addict, or, you know, they treat you like you're not, you know, a good parent because you smoke cannabis instead of taking pharmaceuticals. And so even though our petition efforts are related to the sexual abuse and physical abuse of children in DHS custody, we fully understand that it's us parents that are targeted first in order for the state to take our kids from us. And so we actually, I think we met Kimmie through Kyle, who got us kind of linked up to be able to be on your podcast. And I'm so appreciative of that, because I wanted this opportunity, you know, to be able to, especially talk in a group of women, you know, about parental rights issues. You know, systemically, I've always kind of had this conversation with dads, but I've always known that the issue affects moms just as much as dads. It's just what leads us down these roads are a little different, but somehow we all end up in the same place, which is limited time
Getting
with our
fucked.
kids.
Just getting fucked.
It's
Yeah.
true, though.
And so,
It's so true.
it
Yeah.
is, right? Like, the state's done a really good job at dividing us. And that was something that I really understood with my background working in male-dominated workplaces, kind of what you were mentioning earlier. Like, I face discrimination all the time.
No, you
You
do.
know, I'm constantly in situations where people think like, you know, I don't know how to use a drill, or I need help using a hammer, or maybe I'm scared, or my girl brain can't handle the pressure, you know, and I'm like, go fuck yourself,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah, and every woman needs a little mansplain, you know, like every day.
We need
Not
it for our life.
it gets me real angry, you know. And so, but at the same time, that was something that that helped break down that stigma, was being able to have conversations with men on the gun line who, you know, they were being discriminated in court, and I was being discriminated at work. And I was like, do you see how we put these projections on each other? Like, you see how? And so yeah, being a part of this for me is about parents. It's not about the gender of what type of parent we are. It's more about like the fact that the state shouldn't tell us how we can parent, shouldn't tell us, you know, if we're good enough parents, and they damn sure shouldn't be making money off of us, and they damn sure shouldn't be taking our
No.
kids from us. And
I
so,
know you said
Yeah.
earlier that an astronomical number. What was the number you said to me that
about the money that they take in.
that family law
Yeah.
makes in each year off of families?
Is it like 20
At-
billion?
$20 billion nationwide, the family court system, between your attorneys, between your mental health specialists, your
Is that including child support?
not including child support.
Mm.
DHS has their own budget for that, which I've I've done my
Pretty
research
large too.
Yeah, so Oklahoma alone, DHS made over $20 million every year for just the collection efforts of child
Children.
support. Yeah, well,
Well,
not
and children. And then there's the taking the child aspect where
Yeah.
they have incentives in order to beat last year's fiscal year's numbers of taking children. We have to get more than that to get this budget amount of dollars.
Yeah.
So
For real?
a lot of branches.
Oh, yeah. So if you want to look it up, that would be 42 U.S. Code 658A. It's in the Social Security Act. It's actually the mathematical equation that DHS has to follow in order to qualify for that money. So DHS has to put 80% or greater number of children on child support in order to receive their federal kickbacks. 80% of children have to have food stamps, Medicaid, and child support orders in order for the state to reclaim that money that it took for them to have buildings, have employees, and be able to run their state programs. And so what we know is this incentivizes court systems to take kids away from their parents. Because the more kids are a part of the state, DHS, foster care, all of these different government funded programs, is the more money that they'll qualify for next year. And so that's why a lot of parents, feel unheard in family court, feel like their attorneys are taking them for all their money, or
And you can't, family court isn't like regular court, like criminal court, where it's an open public kind of thing. The records are private. You cannot have people come to court with you. If the judge feels like you can't have any advocates here, then you can't.
I have my
So-
friend Maxine that's in the adult industry. Do you know Maxine, guys?
I do.
She's fighting.
I know of her.
She's been fighting for her kids for a long time. It's a really.
It's discrimination. It's judgment. It's discrimination. And the state says that's easy money. Okay. She's going to spend so much money in court trying to prove that she's a good parent. Cause like, how do you prove you're a good parent? Right. You're like, I went to work. I have a home. Like, I guess I yell at my kids. Like, have you ever raised a teenager? And they're like,
Well, even after
I
that,
found out
like I can
later
say
that
from
me going to work
experience,
wasn't
going
good.
over it again.
When you work all the time, that doesn't look good to the kids either. That looks like mom's always gone. So, you're damned if you do and you damned if you don't, if you're a woman, all the way around that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what were you going to say?
tell us about how, Brittany, like with you, okay, like you have a story that got you to where you are to be activated, to be, helping other people get activated in community. If you would
Right.
like to share a little bit of that.
I don't really love the Dr. Phil thing, I had no support. I was with someone who was abusive. I knew that it was bad. I knew I needed to leave. And so without any support, I was like, fuck it. One day I just randomly emailed that Dr. Phil, and they responded so fast that now, in hindsight, I'm like, oh, they didn't want me to have a chance to even think about it, But, within 2 weeks or something, we were there filming it. They don't tell you what's going to happen. You get on stage. He doesn't really know anything about me personally, and I could tell because I was there.
Interesting.
Like,
That's very interesting.
You obviously didn't read anything about my life, but that's fine. Whatever. He's the dick, and he offered. Yeah, he's the dick. He should be not on making any money. He can fuck himself. But anyways, I digress.
Well, let me say this. He's supposed to be a counselor, and you were a woman in distress, and how he talked to you, how he like that was like cringy to me. Like
Yes.
It was not any way in any kind of like women stay in abusive situations all the time because there's all kinds of dynamics to that. I was in one for a really long time because I couldn't afford to leave. That was one part. I mean, like some people just are stuck. You are mentally and emotionally blackmailed or held hostage, you know, like you
Mhm.
want to make things work for that family thing that you thought that you were trained to looks like a perfect picture perfect
Yeah.
life, you know, like there's all kinds of reasons, and that man did not give you your, like,
No grace.
as a counselor, and I'm a hairdresser, so you know I'm one of those low paid psychologists, so I have an opinion. No, I'm just playing, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, yes, what you said. But no, he basically, you know, at the end of the day, like whatever. And we get home, it airs like, I don't know, I think a month later and 2 days after it airs, DHS came. Like by that time, I had been seeing a therapist and set up a safety plan. Like when he goes to work on this day, this is when I'm getting my child, moving all my shit out and leaving a place he doesn't know. But DHS came 2 days before that, and they were just so upset because the bitch that came to my house, her supervisor, she called her because she was like, I don't know what to do. Everything's fine here. Like, I don't know. And so I could hear her like yelling, she's still with him. Like, oh my God. And just, you could tell she had seen the show, was just too attached about it.
Yeah.
Like, your opinion's too attached about the speculation.
Yeah.
You need to back off the case. And she was at my house for like 3 hours not knowing what to do, but she did take my daughter. And then I mean, there's a lot of details, and I ended up going to jury trial because over the years, they give you treatment plans, ISPs, which are all not individualized. They're individual service plans, ISP, but they pretty much give every parent the same things they need to do: parenting classes, domestic violence, drug, whatever.
The fact that you were the victim in this situation
Yeah.
and you got your child taken away because DHS felt like she didn't move quick enough out of the home is crazy
Right?
to me. Like, and then the service plan on top of that is like, wait a second, your service plan didn't include help and resources. It included like you needing classes. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I heard her story too, and I was like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, what in the world is this state doing? You know, now we're criminalizing victims, you know?
And
like,
they didn't want to press no charges against him. I had to fight that. I had to call and harass, basically, the domestic violence district attorney, Susan Stalin, who's, I don't think she is anymore, but for 3 years I had to. And then finally a detective worked on it, and on top of him admitting all that stuff on TV, and I had medical stuff to prove it, and I had him like admitting it on the phone. So
that
finally,
was crazy to me was the fact that he admitted live on television, like, I'm an abuser. Yeah, I did all of this. And DHS was like, she's the bad one.
well, he said, he was like, she gets drunk and that's why I beat her. And they're like, we're going with that story. And so it was like, no, she has a problem.
That's like saying
and so
she
it
was in a
became,
bathing suit and that's why I raped her. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, but what's your equivalent thing here? That's what? She
Yeah.
got drunk, so I
It
put
kind
her
of
to bed.
reminds me of like
How about that?
another story. I don't know if you've heard about this one, but like the Woolley story, right?
No.
Have you heard about the Woolies Save Clayton? So that's up in Broken Arrow. This is going on all over the state. Like what's happened to Brittany, because DHS doesn't actually know how to investigate and just takes what I call the low-hanging fruit. Like, ooh, this is the quickest way to the child. The Woolies situation is, you know, they had a grandchild who died from SIDS. And the police officer said, SIDS doesn't exist. That's not real. You're lying. We're going to take your other grandchild. And then after they took the grandchild, DHS came back and said, oh, the child's disclosed to us that he's being sexually abused by the grandfather. And the grandfather was like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's never happened. And he's been fighting in court for like 7 years now, and they have not seen their grandchild again because that was the easiest accusation to pull to get that child into state custody. So like blaming the victim making up false accusations, coming up with like, well, can you prove you're a good parent reasons?
Right.
Like all these things that us parents are fighting is directly coming from DHS's initiative to continue that federal funding. And so, yeah.
On top of that, all the counseling services and everything that you have to go through these contracted
How
places.
much were those?
Which one?
The contracted counseling services.
There were so many. There's so many I couldn't get a number.
I've had a dad reach out to me recently who needed help because it was $300 an hour. Okay, $300 an hour to go to counseling that the court's like making you go to see your kid to prove that you're a good parent.
Yeah, like everybody can afford that.
Who can afford that? Like I work construction, okay? Like I work with a lot of these men. You're making at best like $18 to $30 an hour, you know?
Well, it's not. It's fine. We have the ones that Medicaid covers, and we're contracted through them.
Which is more state money.
And yeah, that's just circle jerking the state.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It is a circle. That's what it is. So it's therapists. It's all kinds of people that are just government subsidies contracted into DHS to do. It's like traumatizing just generations of people. And like I haven't seen my daughter since my second actually before my first jury trial. So that was 2017, I think. No, she was adopted.
Oh, wow.
I won.
Brittany, I'm so
I had
sorry.
a jury trial.
I'm so sorry.
I know,
mean,
but obviously I have to like know that it exists. I live with it. So I don't like to talk about it. It's just like, yes, this happened. Okay, move on. Because I can't live there or else I'd die. Yeah. So
that's why I tell her how amazing she is all the time. Because like she carries a very heavy burden.
I don't.
And well, she doesn't maybe on her anyways.
I understand. That's
the amount of like just hopelessness, okay, that I've seen so many parents go through in all of their own different situations. It is all stemming back to the fact that we are trying to prove to state agencies, court systems, all of these different entities that are essentially all relying on us not having time with our kids in order to get paid, that either something isn't going on, something is going on, we're good parents, or whatever it is. And we can't ever seem to, actually get to parent our kids. And I felt for Brittany because of her positive energy, of the fact that you could go through something as harmful emotionally, physically, spiritually as she has. And like I told her today, I was like, being in your home is like being surrounded by love. There's just this calm, warm, welcoming feeling here that most people who have gone through this situation are in shambles, rightfully
sorry,
so.
I'm in the room
and she doesn't hear it enough,
No, I hear it enough. Please don't say more positive things to me. I'm just a human person.
Stop.
Like
You're fabulous.
I have a therapist.
You can have good friends.
Anyways, but the petition
this petition resonated in us hard. And it's like what we're addressing in here has nothing to do with any situation we've talked about, right? We're talking about kids who are in juvenile
not ours specifically.
Yeah.
Not ours specifically.
It's a whole other situation, right? This is once some people's kids get taken away, let's say they get put in a mental institution.
Or they have an autistic child that has to be cared for.
Right. Or you have a child that's been, incarcerated because who knows why, right? Like there's been so many reports, and I'm talking like a gross number of reports this year that have been found substantiated of children being raped inside of these facilities, children being raped at their foster parents' house, children being abused, physically, restrained,
waterboarded, kicked repeatedly, one death allegedly.
Yeah. Foster,
like
people can say that, and there's some great foster parents out there, like I've known some great foster parents. I also had a section of, or a group of DHS working, badass women that were in my chair for many years, and they actually don't work there anymore, but still are in my chair. So I don't want to disrespect those people that have put their heart and soul into their jobs, but they also knew that you didn't want your kids in the system. Like, like when I had trouble with one of my kids having a drug addiction, the first thing I got advice from my DHS clients was, Kim, don't get them put in the system at all. Like, do not call on her. Like, if they get put in the system, she's fucked forever. So I mean, like, so I have heard that kind of thing from them, from the inside, and so that has always been like a thing that I know. And I know that cannabis, we have people still to this day that are affected in the cannabis world where their kids get put in the foster care system. I actually, last year, my event, High in Heels, we raised money for Hope for the Future, which is an organization that Clotilde Howard put together. She does work with DHS, but she's a nonprofit that gives a safe space that's like more like home for the parents to meet with their kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so much different. It's so different than like a sterile, like you're in a room being, So
like there's stained glass mirror we're watching
of this subject, so it's very interesting me because the other aspects are the ones that you guys are talking about. And it's very important that like people, like right now we have a lot of forced birth going on where you might have a few good foster families. You have really shitty ones too. You have people who are doing it just for that little paycheck that they get or however much it is they get. I don't know. So I'm not going to say that, like I don't know that number.
I can tell you what I got when I was a foster parent.
What did you get?
$365 a month. And that was post-adoption. And that was after my daughter had died from SIDS.
So I might I
say.
Really? So,
sorry for that.
$365 is what his adoption stipend was supposed to be from the time that he was adopted till he was 18. And then before that, we didn't receive much as foster parents. We claimed a kinship, so we didn't receive a lot of funding for that,
Yeah, and we don't want to like generalize. All people. I hate foster shit.
It's a shit show.
And not because of you, obviously.
No. And that's where it's interesting. Like there's many different, areas to all of these subjects that like where you have good, you always have the bad. Where you have, you always do. So like, this is definitely something that needs raised awareness on. Like if there's kids being abused in, from DHS and different things like that, and you've got a group of people that are out there trying to get signatures to, like, what is this bill? Tell us about this bill.
And how we could get people to you to sign this or how we can help in that way.
Yeah, okay. And right before I tell you that, I want you guys to know that the representative who has really helped us in this situation is Representative J.J. Humphreys. And before he wrote, was a part of this petition, I think it was either last legislative session or the one 2 years ago, he wrote whistleblower protection legislation to help protect the whistleblowers who do work at DHS, who do work in these facilities, who, have lost their job, who have faced harassment, who've tried to do the right thing, but nobody will listen to them. And they're being just as affected as a parent is. Their livelihood is being affected just as much as our parental rights are.
I would say they're being doxed and like driven out of everywhere.
Yeah.
But
it's like,
but wait. So yes, JJ, but I just want to say this before we forget. This was, there was like 6 people that were arrested for the crimes, part of the crimes that are meant, like there are allegations in this petition. Some of them are related to the Greer situation. It was a place in Tulsa where
Enid.
It wasn't Enid?
Greer's Enid.
Was there more than one?
Tulsa Juvenile Correction Facilities in Tulsa.
Well, there was 2. I don't know. There were 6 people that were arrested, charges dropped. Another problem is DA's not pressing fucking charges on perpetrators, domestic abuse, and all the children abuse that's happening. They just don't want to do it. I don't know why.
I mean, we have over like 2,000 backlogged
Rape kits.
Rape kits.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know,
There's 100,000,
I saw
I think.
Oh, is it
somewhere
100?
where there was 30,000 rape kits from clear back, like just sitting on the shelf, like never even got them looked at. Like, oh, you don't matter. 30,000 women who claimed, or there could have been some men in there too. I'm not saying but it was on the female issue, so it was. I assume that, but
Right.
I was like, that's disgusting. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
I met with a lot of women and men who had been incarcerated and raped, and nobody would process their rape, kits. And
A lot of issues.
yeah.
A lot of issues.
A lot of
A
issues.
lot of issues.
This is why I wanted to be Attorney General. I would
Yes.
have processed all of those.
And I wish we could do some some civil justice
I
or
voted
whatever
for
that's
you,
called.
Lynda, but for the record, I did.
Did
vote
you?
for
I probably
I
did
for
too,
the
and I
record.
don't know.
I tried.
Thank you.
We
Hey, we made U.S. history. Just so you know, I had over 300,000 votes that campaign.
Did you?
Okay, yes, girl, yes.
Good for you.
It was crazy. It was crazy. We were, everybody told me I would be, made a joke out of that. They would call me this crazy libertarian. Like I wouldn't get less than 1% of the vote because that's what libertarians get. And I walked away with 30% of that vote. And I have the highest percentage of the vote for a state attorney general race as a third party candidate in U.S.
Look
history.
at you.
So
Wow.
Oklahoma, that's not me. That's 300,000 voters who literally made U.S.
That's
history.
really good.
Like when we talk about Oklahomans and like petitions and making change and all that, I know it's going to happen here in Oklahoma because we have proven it with cannabis with 788. We've proved it in my campaign, like we are willing to do different things. We are willing to fight for our rights. Maybe we just didn't get it the first time, but there's always the second time. So
the second time
yeah.
because you learn like where the downfalls were, and if you are open to like
Totally.
learning and growing, of course you always take those things in and improve your game
Totally.
to get better.
Yeah.
And it sounds
Plus the name
like you guys
recognition.
definitely do that. So this bill, I mean, I keep saying bill,
It's a
this
petition. Yeah.
that needs to be signed, needs to be 5,000 signatures have to be done by January 6th.
So yes, January 6th, but we just got word today from the organizers of the writing of this petition that they're asking for us to turn it in January 3rd. And that's because we are going to ask you guys if you could also help us spread the word to come to the Capitol January 4th. The representative who's helped us, get this far is trying to meet with everybody who's willing to collect signatures. And on the last weekend, before we have to turn in our petitions, we're going to try to get 1,000 more signatures that weekend. And that's just to protect us because we know we're going after a state agency. We're not ignorant. We don't think this is going to be a cakewalk. We want to have more than what we need. And so they've asked us to turn it in a day early so that we can have people come to the Capitol and maybe who hasn't helped us collect signatures would be willing to help us that weekend before we have to turn them in officially. So
what do you do
yeah,
for that? Do you have like events like where people are set up at events with it, or do they go to the parking lots? How do they do?
So what we've been doing is we have been organizing through cannabis businesses. Because 788 was so what was the word? I just lost my word. But because 788 happened, right? It showed us that medical marijuana users are registered voters. We know that for a fact.
They don't show up on special elections.
Right.
No, but that's okay because we only need a petition, and they do sign petitions.
Yes,
we know that.
The
I don't
petitions are good part, but I'm just saying, I get pissed off
People
on
are
those special
scared.
elections when we don't show up. But
Right.
People are scared. one of the main places I have that I'm not going to name them, but they are on Lynda Made Some Graphics, okay? And we have some businesses that is like walk in, here are the hours, they have a petition. If you want to go sign there. Or individually, we have petitions. If you want to carry a petition, ask us, we'll send you a link. It ain't hard. Like, we will send you the link. It's 8 pages.
We made it as short as possible. So Tulsa County is doing the same thing as us, but they have like almost a 600-page petition, and that's crazy. That was just too much. So we have an 8-page to include 2 signature pages petition, and we would welcome anybody who has, wants to help us get signatures.
Yeah.
Direct people towards dispensaries that are carrying that, petition with us. I also do a lot of work in the nonprofit area. I think the future is going to be supporting community-led resources. And so for me, I've always advocated for nonprofits to be the solution instead of the state being the solution. So we have a nonprofit in Bethany that's carrying the petition as well.
Yeah.
And we're open to whoever else
Come
would like
help
to
us.
come help us, bro. We ain't gonna act like we ain't got this shit in the bag. Help. We need you, community. We need you.
So,
And this is just to get a grand jury investigation into DHS, into OSBI, because OSBI was supposed to investigate all this.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They were like, you know what? No. I know everybody knows this happened, but
Yeah.
no.
We don't have the time.
We ain't got time for investigation OSBI, okay? So we've got these places that need to be investigated. So what if we get these signatures? Only if we get these signatures, or we'll have to wait 2 years to file it again.
And we'll have to get 10,000 signatures.
second time?
when
Yeah.
we go to
is that
Yeah.
what it
If you
is?
fail the first time, if you fail the first time, you have to wait 2 years and get 10,000 signatures the second
Now,
time.
we are lucky
So
here in Oklahoma that we can do petitions for signatures, because there's a lot of states that don't do that for law changes and things, or for, for things to happen. So, I mean, like, I've heard that, like, even where cannabis was concerned, they can't do like a petition within their states to get signatures, and they're like, gosh, I wish that we could. So a lot of people don't realize, like, you need to, like, kind of check in your areas to see how you can activate in your different states too, because I know that, just in general, at being a hairdresser for as long as I have been, and hearing the stories that I have been, kids fall through the cracks all the time. Kids fall through the cracks all the time, whether they're being ripped out of their parents' arms unnecessarily because you have to prove that you're a good parent, how they're writing that down.
Yeah.
Whether somebody's just too busy and you lose track of, yourself. I mean, kids
Life
fall through the
happens.
cracks
Yeah.
with money. I mean, like, we all have, like, I'm okay with anything that helps the children. So whether that's a legit state program that is helping the kids feed them or whatever, and there's backup in community to make sure that happens regardless, that is something that I am totally for. The kids, period. So, I mean, the kids, period. Safety of children.
That's all it's about.
And the wellness of children is the foundation of our future. So to ignore that is like the most ignorant thing that we can do, is to ignore our future. I mean, I don't know. So
we need to invest in our children, and we're a state that doesn't do that.
God, we're like worst on everything.
And the outcomes. Oh yeah,
we're last in everything.
We're like, bottom of the everything.
Yeah, like we're like bottom 3 to the last on every subject there is. Education, wellness of the children.
Medical.
I mean,
literacy.
It's all bad.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
We're so forced birth, but fuck women, and you know what?
There's a Bible for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Learn to read, damn it. Abel's wife. I don't know. Like,
Pray a little harder.
Yeah, why don't you pray about it? But anyway,
And a part of the reason why, when you live in a areas like that, that a lot of stuff gets ignored is because the perpetrators of those things are the people who are in charge of those things.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's a huge one. And of course, you know, the predators are going to protect the predators, and that's the way it is. And I really don't give a shit. I'll call it out anytime. I'm not scared at all. I mean, I really honestly am not. Like, I'll put it out there. Anything that you guys have to do that's helping kids or anything, I'll always be out there to share it. With that,
got
too,
2 weeks left.
you,
Yeah, we got 2 weeks left to turn this in. So we're not asking for long-term help. We're asking for a dash to the finish line. I believe again that the cannabis community, when we're working with the restraints that we are, which is we're not organized, we didn't have a plan, this petition was thrown on our laps and we knew it needed to be done. And if we don't have those things in place, we're going to fail. But what we know we have is community. And if we look at our community from like a logical standpoint, it's the cannabis community that's activated. You guys are, you have your ducks in a row. You've been, fighting the state for a long time against discrimination, judgment, based off of just being a cannabis smoker. But at the same time, you also have to be able to be a registered voter. And you guys are. And if we were to work together and create that partnership, we would be protecting parents as well who are also cannabis smokers, because the state needs to understand that, it's not, we don't need to be judged for our individual rights. That's what we have the right to do. And I do hope that they fear us. I do hope that they quit trampling on our rights, because we have been in fear for too long.
Girl, talk about fear. No, listen, Lynda. No, but for real,
No, listen,
these, like I was saying earlier, there's some dispensaries and people are scared to sign this. And I'm like, why? I'm a notary.
You're our
I'm a
notary?
notary.
Yeah.
Like, I will be looking at the signatures. Not like no one's gonna be
why are
going
they
through these
scared?
papers.
Why do you think they're scared? Do they think that people are going to go over the list and like target them or something? Is that what
I
they
guess.
think?
I
Don't know.
I
I think it's because they're used to DHS's predatory nature. Everybody wants to call somebody and
government,
say, hey,
yeah.
look, this is going on. But the moment that we need you to speak, they're like, not me. Like, don't tell,
Listen,
because
my
they don't want their situation to
grandson-
get worse.
My grandson is going through some things. He's 17 and a half. He's dealing with some personal things, like, just parent. He lives with me. Okay. Now, he called about, like, seeing about getting himself some food stamps, because he's trying to save me. And I'm like, what did you call DHS for? Like, you don't need to be calling DHS. I
hell
can
no.
get you food. Like, but he was trying to help me out, but I'm like, they're gonna like come and check me now. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Like, I
They're
was
gonna
so like old
for
school,
paycheck
that
stuff.
old school thinking that I have just always been, because I had my kids while cannabis was very illegal. There was no talk of, well, shit, I had my kids in the state that's still illegal, Indiana. They still aren't even medical. So I was like hiding in my room to smoke because I feared losing my kids for that, and especially after getting a divorce. Oh, I feared that so badly. And that looked like I was hiding away from my kids, like to go medicate.
Yep.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, can we be parents and
Oh,
nobody
my mom
judge?
and apologize to her. Yeah. I remember growing up thinking my mom was a drug addict because she smoked pot outside behind the
because you
freaking
make
washer and
yourself
dryer.
look
And I was
that,
like,
or they made us look like that.
yeah,
They made us look like that.
I felt the same way.
I know. I was like, Mom, like, why would you, like, we already had so many problems, but like now, like, this could have been avoided.
But
you
drinking is fine. Right.
It really
Right.
was
Drinking
an
and
issue.
getting
That's
stuck
something
in.
I look back on, and I really was judged even by my kids at that time for that. I was keeping them safe from knowing, because they're going to go to school and turn me into dare too, like.
And as kids, we're taught, call
Conditioned.
DHS, they'll help you.
Yeah.
So like your kids are being pitted against you at school, and you're like, the reality is I had a single mom who was stressed the hell out, who also worked in male dominated
People just need
environments.
help.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're supposed to come help. When people need resources, maybe DHS should do that instead of like,
Yeah, like,
Washing them up.
you know, like
bring in
we
a
don't really
counselor.
need,
Yeah.
right? Or what, fucking,
Look,
here's a meal. I don't
Have
know.
some house
Here's a
cleaning
month's
work.
worth of rent.
what we hope this petition does is, so on here we have named people within the Department of Human Services, within the Commission of Children and Youth, at OSBI, and the law firm that has been representing these people. Okay, like we know the game. Like, so just a little bit of my background, right? Like, I'm not a parent who went through the court system. I'm a parent who was like, that court system is bad, and I'm the provider. My ex-husbands were stay-at-home dads, right? I worked in male-dominated industries where I heard stories from dads all the time who were like getting their kids taken away, and I was like, that's gonna be me, and that was used against me, like, I want child support and you to have every other weekend with the kids. And I was like, we're not going to court. Like, we're going to settle outside of court and no one's going to tell us how to parent. And so what we've done in this petition is we've gone bottom up, top down. There are specific people that need to be investigated because you're the director and you're hearing these complaints and you're pushing them off the table. You're the OSBI guy and you get a whole entire legislature that approves this investigation, and then you say, the governor didn't say yes, the AG didn't say yes, so I don't have to do anything. We put your name on here too. As parents, we've had enough. And we need this system to reform. We need these stories to be exposed, people to be held accountable, and ultimately, with the right person elected, we can have a reform of this system so that DHS isn't predatory. But from the time I've been a kid in the 90s, and I'm sure before that, and even to present, DHS is a predatory system that is looking out for their agency's best interest. For those good DHS workers out there, I fully believe you exist.
Sorry, I didn't know what the hell that was. That looked odd from this angle.
I was like, what the hell's happening right now?
Sorry.
It's my pet bear.
Yeah, we don't want to make anybody feel like, it's their fault because they represent the system. But when you go to your boss about these issues and you feel unheard, or you feel like, people aren't taking you serious, we need you to understand that they care a lot more about that agency budget than they do about the children that are making these reports, because the agency's budget can only exist on, one, the amount of people using the system, right? So less people using that system, less accountability on that system equals more money. And we're tired of it,
I would like the dominoes to fall. I want to know who that person is that we don't know about, who's like the person in the dark, where the funds are coming and then the legislators are like, yeah, that's good.
I can tell you who it is.
Who is it, Linda?
It's Langford.
Well, I mean,
Langford. Here's why though, okay?
I just reached out to his office.
All of it goes back to 42 U.S. Code 658A, which is the federal budget, okay? It is the pool of money that DHS has to qualify for. And who votes on that budget? Congress, okay? So
yeah.
If you start with like the curtain puller, you don't see Langford. His name should be nowhere attached to this. But if you understand what his job is in Washington, he has to vote on that budget. He only listens to people who are State Department, directors, commissioners.
Advocates for forced birth that we have.
Foster care.
So he can make more babies for the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said it.
It so much doesn't make sense. Like, how does this make sense?
Yeah. So
So I'm a nosy person, and I never intended on getting into politics. I had a nonprofit and I wanted to help people, so where judges couldn't tell us what we were good and capable of. I just never felt like that was the judge's role. That is not the judiciary branch's job. And what it's led me to is sitting in all of these meetings. I went to interim studies. I found out about the breakfast clubs. I went to the breakfast clubs. I looked you straight in the eye and was like, yeah, no, we're going a different direction. And, I've had the sheriff's departments follow me. I've had, you know, all of the rumors and the aggressive representatives who are like, you know, and fuck you, I'm still going to show up. And you cannot tell me what I can do. You know, I'm a woman who doesn't listen. I've never listened a day in my life. Lindas do not listen, you know, so.
But we all say, listen,
That, I
Linda.
guess it is a thing. Listen, Linda, that's
So,
why that's
does
the
this
thing.
thing let us go past an hour now on Facebook? Remember when it used to not be live? Look, I'm probably old.
I'm pretty sure it
Okay.
definitely goes past an
Okay, good.
hour.
Yeah.
Good. I just didn't want it to cut off on you guys, like, you know, because I started it at 4:20, so I didn't want it to just cut off without me saying something. So,
We do.
What is
we
time?
don't have just things that happen here in this state. I mean, you're dealing
Right.
with this in Oklahoma, but there are people out there that fight things in all the different areas. And you know, what is your advice on how people can get activated in their areas or see what's going on to check? Because I'm all about checks and balances to those things. Like, you know, I believe that we need certain things in place, but we need to definitely have those things like vetted and regulated.
If you are like watching this live video from another state and you're like, hey, this is going on in my state, what can I do? Like, my best advice for you would be go to interim studies at your state capital. Look at the special committee or the subcommittee for children and or youth. Like, each state has one, right? All of those interim studies are open to the public. It's your constitutional right to go to those.
Those are
right?
usually on YouTube too.
You can
They
also
usually
watch,
post them on YouTube.
but you can also speak at them, right?
I
So
mean,
like if you have a
we've seen that.
situation going on, you can sign up and speak at those interim studies. You can go network there. You can put eyes on who's the one speaking there. Like, I found it really interesting when I started going to interim studies. I worked for a diesel mechanic shop, okay? And I was in my greasy clothes, you know, I did not fit at all being there. And I would just go sit in the back and, you know, I had to tell my boss I had a doctor's appointment because they host these interim studies in the middle of the day. But by God, I was going to be there because, one, it's our constitutional right. And two, let's stop beating around the bush and go straight to the problem. You know, when we don't talk to our state representatives about these issues, they're going to little meetups with the judges who are telling them we're the problem. And when you show up at those interim studies, you'll find the attorney who's telling them that you're the problem. We found attorneys who were going up there who never had any kids. You know, they were an attorney that did lobbying for foster groups, you know, and so these attorneys will go in there and lobby against us parents while us parents are protesting on the outside, you know, and it's like we were constantly being overlooked. And so I would definitely say go to the interim studies. Get to know not just your district representative, like they're important too, but know who is the chairman of the subcommittees. Those are the ones that approve bills that get heard on the floor. They help write legislation that's heard on the floor. If you're new to this, you're going to be told like, oh, I'm not your district representative. It doesn't matter. You're the chairman of a subcommittee over a topic I'm talking to you about. Don't let them bullshit you. And so that would be my biggest advice.
And just FYI, the dude that she's talking about, the representative, JJ Humphreys, who pushed this into the public sphere, basically, he was just taken down from his chair seat.
Yeah.
A few days ago.
Yeah. He was the chairman for criminal justice department.
Yeah, something like
I don't know the
criminal
exact
committees.
criminal justice committee.
It didn't say justice, it just said criminal committees.
Yeah, so
Seems retaliatory, I don't know.
and it was because he found out that the chairman of this committee has Supreme Court powers, which means they can initiate an investigation, right? We used to think it was just the governor or the attorney general who could, but if this subcommittee comes together and gets the appropriate number of signatures, which we did this year, they can initiate a Supreme Court investigation, right? So once we got that, then OSBI said, nope, you don't have the governor's sign off on it, which was like the final signature. And so that's when he lost his seat, we believe, is because he got too educated on what he could have done to initiate those checks and balances.
Yeah. Wow.
They're playing a dirty game.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
dirty. It is dirty.
You guys got, so where are you guys gonna be at? Like, what do you do
So we got
to get these?
all right.
Like in a
So we got some
mass way?
locations. All right. So let me pull up my little locations. We have, if you're in Bethany, Oklahoma, between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, you can go to the Oklahoma Boxing and Combat Sport Foundation. Look that up. It's in Bethany, Oklahoma, and they have a petition there.
Okay.
We have Elite Tent on Northwest 86th in Oklahoma City from 8 to 8 every single day. And the BBB, the Better Business Bureau, has agreed to host a petition for us as well.
Ask for Rachel.
Ask for Rachel.
Nice.
They are opened Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Friday, 9 to noon. And then in our cannabis businesses, we have Happy Little Trees on North May. They're open Monday through Friday, noon to noon.
No,
And
noon to midnight.
yeah,
Military's talk. Sorry.
that wasn't
Linda.
even military. That
Whatever she said.
it was
wrong
the eggnog.
stuff.
The eggnog did
You
it.
called it. You called it that before. Don't blame it on the eggnog.
Don't tell
They're
them.
close.
I still don't
you did
understand
that.
military time.
And
It's super
it was. She
easy.
just said it wrong. It's just wrong.
Then we have the Green Gorilla Smoke and Vape Shop, also on North May. Ask the employees for the
That's so
petition.
funny.
They're
I
open
just
from 9.
passed that place and I said it out loud to my grandkid today.
Yeah.
Just passed it. I said the Green Gorilla Smoke and Vape Shop over on the right as I'm going. That's just
Yeah.
funny.
Go
I never saw it
in there.
before and they came up twice today.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah, you got to go in there then. If they've already come up twice, you got to go in there.
And I need to call and ask that guy's name because nobody up there was Oklahoma County. They moved from like Florida and stuff, and they're like, well, we'll still hold it, like, but the owner wouldn't be cool with it. And I was like, but you'll keep it up here, and if whatever. And they're like, yeah. So I mean, when we say ask for employees, it's because the business owner probably is not cool with it. But there's people that work there that are like, we'll help.
Right.
Yeah, because
And
we're all
we'll have
Oklahoma
it.
parents. We're trapped here in Oklahoma, you
Yeah.
know, unlike that business owner who's not. But if you guys could help connect us with any dispensaries that are in the Oklahoma County area, we can go as high as Jones.
Whatever Oklahoma County
I'll
is.
be
all
out
of
doing
Oklahoma
sales
County.
all day tomorrow, so I will ask every single stop that I go in if I can forward them a link to the petition. Just send that to Kim and I in the group chat and see if
Okay.
I can't forward
Yeah.
that to a bunch of people and get them to print it and put it out tomorrow.
That would be amazing. And then if you get their addresses, if they actually put it out, we can go by and pick it up. And that's, other than that, like, we're going to be looking for some door knocking effort on the 4th of January because the way that this petition was filed, it fell between like Christmas and New Year's. And so that's been really difficult too. But we're hoping on January 4th, if we can get motivated people who want to help us get that mad dash of signatures the weekend before we turn them in, meet us at the Capitol January 4th between 7 and 8 a.m. I know that's early. We didn't pick the times, but meet us there. And
We'll
we're
make
gonna
an event too, obviously.
Yeah.
So that people
bring
can
your pot, you know, like
I don't-
flaunt your freedom. I wish I could
Bring your
smoke weed,
pot?
but I'm in crane school, so I can't anymore.
Yeah, you got
Aw.
a safety job.
Aw.
Well, it's, you know,
She just wanted to be
It
challenged
cracks
more.
me up.
I
though.
actually-
let
let
me say this though about something like that,
Okay.
because I understand anything while working when you're in a, you know, your operator. Because my
Yep.
husband is a commercial construction. He's been and he fell 20 foot to concrete, so I also understand the safety aspect of it. Okay, so
Right.
With that, they don't ask people, did you go home last night and drink till 3 a.m. and wake up and come to work?
Right.
Are you gonna go home and drink after work? They don't ask, like, do you have your prescription bottle with you while you're, like, it's
Right.
always just cannabis, and cannabis sticks with us for 30 fucking days, you know, like, unless you're,
Yeah.
I hate it. I mean, like, for other people, I hate it because I've never had to worry about it being a waitress, bartender, or hairdresser.
Right.
Now cannabis advocate.
Maybe if we had if we went through an alcohol except cannabis revolution during the gangster times, we would have the freedom and they'd be scared to take it away. Like they should probably take away alcohol. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. But
I just want freedom to make my own choices.
actually, true. I'm pro all the drugs. You do you, boo.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck. If a little meth on the side is helping you work,
No.
hey, I'm me. I talk for me.
Yeah.
Not
And,
meth.
you know,
but like,
True. She does talk
You
for
know,
herself.
that being said too, with the jail system and DHS, like it's such a revolving door with that. Like nobody
Yeah.
wants to put
Oklahoma
mental
is
health out
number
there.
one
Nobody
in
wants to
something.
put rehab out there. Nobody wants to get anybody freaking better.
You're right.
Everybody just stays, you know, in their dysfunction and keeps on that hamster wheel of needing that money. And I was a put book money on my books, mom. Okay. I mean, I had to do money on the books for a long time, you know, like, so
Mhm.
I understand the vicious cycle of like, who is affected here?
Yeah. Well, and Oklahoma is the number one most incarcerated population in the world.
And for
okay,
women.
like
For
not just for
cannabis
women. Yeah. So women individually, yes, but like we ran a bunch of numbers when I was on that campaign because the AG's job is to like really take a look at our criminal justice system and the departments within that system. And, you know, what we found out was Oklahomans are more incarcerated than like in Russia, right?
yeah,
like
in the world.
in the world,
crazy.
we have the most incarcerated people. It's like we look for reasons to incarcerate people. And that's like, we don't know what to do, so let's just throw them in a box,
okay,
you know? And
so
like,
when I moved here what's 2025 getting ready to be? I moved here in January 1st, 2001. So it's almost 24 years. Okay.
Mhm.
When we first moved here, they were like doing death penalty all the time. Like, I swear, they were putting somebody to death like every other day, it seemed like. And I remember looking at Corey going, oh my God, like, they like kill people around here like nobody's business.
Oh,
Like,
they're
and I
still
lived
doing
in
it.
Ohio,
Yeah.
Indiana, Colorado. He lived in Washington, California, Nevada. We
Ah!
never saw like that shit in any of the states we ever lived in. You know, like we were like, what is this Oklahoma we just moved to?
You know, just the
No,
other
I
day on
can't
the way to
imagine.
work,
I couldn't
I
imagine.
heard them talking about how Oklahoma had just executed the last inmate for 2024. But not only was it the last inmate for Oklahoma, it was the last inmate that was scheduled across the United States, right? Like, and they
Wow.
also executed him on his birthday. And so there was another important detail as well. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah.
Yeah, we had like what 32 deaths in the Oklahoma County Jail just waiting to go to trial in like every year. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
inhumane.
we
It's like county
we have
jail. Like,
lost our
my
humanity.
son didn't go to prison.
For
My
sure.
son was in county jail, and they don't even let you outside. He was in for a little over a year, 2 times. Okay. And he didn't see sunlight one time. He was like, I'd rather be in prison, mom. At least you get like yard time. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
at least you get classes. At least you can go and read, you know, like you have physical things. It's such a like keep you mind fucked.
Right.
I was 9 months pregnant and did 36 hours in Oklahoma County Jail when I was 19 years old. And I was let out of my cell for, I think, like an hour, maybe. Like, there's, like, they keep you, and because I was pregnant and on the medical ward, I was in my own cell. So that was, like, basically solitary confinement at that point. And I was forced to take pharmaceuticals that I was not prescribed because it was for my health because I was pregnant. Like, they lost my paperwork, so I was there for an extra 12 hours, you know, like it's a very inhumane place to be. And I was there for a very short period of time, but I've absolutely protested that county jail. You know, I had a sister that did 7 years incarcerated and a father that did 20 years incarcerated. And, you know, being able to break through these generational curses, like, I feel it, you know, when Brittany talks about not having a support system. I was homeless when I came to Oklahoma. I was a homeless single mom and had been on the streets for 4 years. And it was a very difficult thing. And I had an obligation to serve my country because I had enlisted at 17. So if I didn't show up to drill, I was going to jail, you know, and I'm showing up on a Greyhound, you know, sleeping at bus stations and showing up so that, one, my son could have medical insurance, right? Because that matters. I desperately wanted to just not have the stigmas of my family. I wanted to do better, but there was nobody here, you know, I've been completely, you know, doing this on my own. And when you're in a bad situation and you don't have that family support and the state is only looking to poke at you because you're an easy target, you know, it's a very lonely feeling. I think it totally robs your mental health. Like, I'm in my 30s now, and I was scared of women, right? Like, I was not just in a male-dominated space, but being the only woman there, a lot of wives just had a lot of stigmas because, you know, oh, I'm here, I must be trying to
You're
do...
hoeing around.
Right. I'm like, no, really, I'm homeless, I just want a job. Like, can we please not, you know, like, I don't even like him, he's a douchebag, why are you with him? You know, and so, like... So, like, for me, I got out of the military when I was 29. I smoked pot for the first time when I was 29, and and I hung out with women for the first time when I was 29. I smoked pot for the first time when I was 29, and I hung out with women. Like, I put lipstick on for like the first time, you know, like all of these things that I was so scared of, you know, that still to this day my own mother judges me for, you know, like, why are you wearing makeup to leave the house? I'm like, why can't I just like feel good about myself? You know,
Trying to hold her down.
yeah.
Get these things off me, bitch.
Let me be free.
Let me just love myself, you know. And so, yeah, I love the energy in all of this. You know, this is a Hail Mary effort, but just like my campaign, just like this now, it's always going to be women who get it done. And
Isn't it? If it's invisible, if it's you can see it, it's us, bitch.
Yeah. It's always going to be. Yeah. So thank you for having us on here and listening to our stories and just taking us serious because, yeah, we are just some parents. We are just some women. And no, we don't have a say in anything. But my God, we're going to exercise our rights. And yeah,
let's all get abortions. I'm just kidding.
I know.
Just kidding.
I always have to tell people, like, because I was a teenage mom and I actually planned my first kid because, you know, baby dolls became boring. So I was like, I mean, I loved babies and I had 4 babies and I'm like the biggest women's rights, like to, you know, right to our own healthcare, our own decisions. And people, and I'm like always having to say, I have never killed any babies. I've never killed a baby, ever. I would never kill a baby.
Me either.
But I would exercise my right to make the best decision for myself if I needed to. And I have a brain to do that. And I know that my other sisters out there do too. So that is my, you know, take I always have to say. But I'm always like, people always look at me like I'm a baby killer. I'm like, I'm not a baby killer.
There's such a common misconception when it comes to like abortion too, you know, like
it's birth control.
That's not even true. Yeah, it's not even a birth control. Like, one, we only had 2 facilities in the state of Oklahoma that performed abortions.
Yeah.
You had to go through an interview process, right? It's not supported by Medicaid. You have to pay for that out of pocket. Like, there's so many misconceptions
about. Abortion was a term that was never even. It's not even a thing. It was made up by
not even a thing.
Far right evangelical shit. And late term abortion is medical necessity or birth. Like, you know,
at least here in Oklahoma, that was never a thing. Yeah,
I have such a
at least in Oklahoma
time with all of that, but I do know that it's affecting women who want to have children.
Yeah.
So that part people didn't think about while they were putting their, you know, noses in everybody's business. And there are women dying And right now, the state of Texas is choosing to ignore the numbers of women's deaths for 2 years and just do this past year. They are trying to keep the numbers for the first 2 years of the abortion ban of the deaths in Texas out of the numbers. It's like,
Thanks, Governor
no, there was
Abbott.
3 years and we get all the numbers so that you can have the facts, right?
But they
You know
don't
what I
want
mean?
the facts.
Right.
They don't
So-
care about the facts. They're just.
And those are from women who wanted to have children, mostly.
Right.
You know, those are people who
Right.
had like an ectopic pregnancy or, you know, a miscarriage was happening and they couldn't get the help that they wanted.
A DNC.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
those
DNCs
those
are
like the
medical
daughters
abortions. That's
that
the name.
wanted their babies, you know, like that the moms and dads voted against that they weren't thinking about, you know. So I want to have you guys back on because like we even had touched base on like some other women's issues, Brittany, that, you know, like we have in common, like autoimmune stuff and things like that. I would
Arthritis.
love to have you guys
Woo!
back on sometime after you get this out of the way and everything, and we can sit down and talk about some other issues across the board where women and children and, you know, weed is concerned even. I mean, you know, as long as I have weed while I discuss the rest of the stuff, I'm good.
For sure. Yeah. I
You-
think weed could be a very great tool if we stop criminalizing it, you
okay,
know, like
so I did just get discriminated against in a hotel, but they made it right. But I went with the discrimination card on. I was in Vegas for MJ BizCon, and I did not smoke in my room, but I did roll in my room. And I did put roaches in my trash can instead of flushing them.
Oh.
And our housekeeping was right on top of me when I left. Like they actually tried to get in the room. I had late checkout.
Yeah.
And they actually tried to get in when I was in the shower, but I had my little bar thing, you know. So I got out and I was like, hey, I'm still here. So I knew they were up my ass when I left. So I knew that I had smell on me. You know, like I knew they smelled me. I just smoked one in the parking lot right before that, right? So, but they charged me $250 for smoking fee.
It's about
And
money.
I was like, oh, hell no. I didn't even vape in that room. Like, I seriously did not. Like, I followed the damn rules of the hotel. I was under my husband's gold, like, Diamond Elite membership, you know, like, so I'm not looking to tarnish his stuff, right? But the manager was a cigarette smoker. I saw her in the parking lot several times while I was smoking. And I was like, a cigarette smoker would walk back into a hotel and it would smell like there was cigarettes in that room too. But they didn't smoke in that room. And therefore, they wouldn't get charged. It wouldn't be fair for them to be charged just because they had residual smell, you know, like, and therefore I shouldn't be
Is that what you
charged
said to them?
members. And they gave me my money back.
Hell yeah.
She said, you're exactly right. After talking and listening to your stuff, I think that it just transferred the smell and we're reimbursing your money. So, but I was like, I feel like I'm being discriminated against. I'm like, you can't smoke in any place. I was out hiding in the parking lot, looking like a damn criminal.
That's weird for Vegas. You know, so like because of my advocacy work that I've been doing, and we're constantly, you know, teaching parents how to protect themselves against predatory systems, you know, like take pictures, right? Like if you're in that parking lot,
I did.
if you're in the parking lot smoking pot and you see the manager out there smoking a cigarette, girl, selfie. You know what I mean? Like real quick.
Word.
Like you see me, you see them. What are we talking about? You know? Because that's what it's come down to in this world. It's always going to be your story versus their story. And as long as you understand that they're only saying these things to you to get more money out of you or more control out of you, you know, like take that picture. Don't be afraid to sign the
Oklahoma's
petition.
a one-party state, guys.
Know that. Know that.
one
Oklahoma,
party state?
one party consent state.
It's red before the polls close. Yeah.
Well, one
Wait,
party
what?
consent state for recording, right?
yeah.
Like you
Oh, you
can
mean that
record
on the-
audio or video without the other
Oh,
person's consent
okay.
because we are a one party consent and you count
Okay.
as a party. At least maybe not at the ballot box, but on your phone, you count as a party.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one party consent state. Always, you know.
Always record.
Always.
ACAB.
I do record
Call box.
in some questionable situations. I do
Yeah,
because
that
I
is-
That
safeguard
doesn't
my
exist.
ass all the way around when I feel
That's
somebody's
what
got
it
some
is.
shady
It's
ass shit going on.
protection.
I'm like, I'm not going to be going down with that shit. So
Yeah.
It's
just
protection.
saying.
It is.
Your own security
I
system.
mean, cops have cameras
Yeah.
on them.
And I'm
You
not
know,
saying I
you
record
keep
all
a
the
camera
time,
on
but I've
you.
had a couple situations where I knew that somebody was where I needed to safeguard myself, and I
Mhm.
did. But I
Yeah.
am 56 now, so I have learned a couple things behind the chair and behind the bar from listening to others' experiences. So. And I wore my
That's a
THC
good
shirt
thing.
today, which says, may cause harm to children and pets, kids and pets, not safe for kids and pets. And I
Oh.
always hate this because it's so safe for kids and pets if it is in a like
Right.
Like for
yes.
seizures and
So
stuff like that.
I wear this
Topical.
because I'm a grandma of 10 and I'm very safe for my 3 dogs, and I just like to kind of like put that out there that people need to, but don't leave your edibles out. Don't leave your edibles out on the
Yeah.
counter. Not
That's-
saying that.
That's not what you're advocating. I don't feel like that's what you're advocating at all.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, recently I've been having to have this conversation with my teenager because, like, for me, one thing I always wanted to be with my kids was honest. I never wanted to be the parent smoking behind the washer and dryer like my mom. But I had to, like, explain to my son, like, cannabis has a medicinal purpose. So what you're using it for and that mindset in which you're using it is how it's going to affect you. You know, if you're trying to escape because you don't like your parents, if you're trying to, go off and do it for bad reasons, then yes, it will be a gateway for you for other bad reasons. But if you have like mental health issues that you're trying to resolve, physical ailments that you're trying to resolve, and like you're doing it in a safe environment, like that's a completely different conversation than somebody who is, going off and just trying to be behind their parents' back
And at the
because,
same time,
they're
like
mad at
when you
them.
say that about like if you're doing it like to escape your parent, like or something, sometimes that is a mental health issue too, like an anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've been a cannabis user since I was very young. I didn't realize it was medicine, but until later, I know now why I loved it since I was younger.
Right.
Because it
Mhm.
really was medicine in many different ways
Yeah,
for me. But I liked it.
Yeah.
Like I liked it.
as well.
But
It was
yeah.
fun.
And I run
You want
4
to bump and grind
businesses
listening to Bone Thugs.
and
Yeah.
take care of a family, so we're very functioning up in here, all of us fierce females doing the damn thing. So everybody get with these guys. We'll put if you could put like the links or the links or any list or anything
petition
where
below.
they need to go, you can put them in the comments after we
Okay.
hang up or something, and then
Mhm.
people can find them that way. That would be great.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I wasn't even paying attention. I'm like,
It's okay.
so,
Yeah.
but I really appreciate
We'll
you
get
guys
more
coming
than enough
on. I know that
information.
we'll probably start losing people going too long. So I want to have you guys back on for another one so they pay attention to what we got to say, because I think that there's a lot of good stuff to learn. Like I'm always into sharing how to learn how to do things in the our government. Because people need to know and activate and get registered to vote if you are not registered to vote, because that is the ultimate way that we make some changes too. So
Yeah, and protesting is great. Like, I'm a huge proponent of protesting. I've protested in 13 different states. I've gone all over this country protesting. Like, it's something that was really a part of my life, which is a huge, important constitutional right to have. But if you're wanting to make serious changes, like, I would love to talk to you about the importance of like a boring interim study.
They are boring.
They're not the most entertaining thing, but if you understand, and I don't mind telling anybody, how to read a room and who to pay attention to, how to get on the list and how to talk. And as a councilwoman, I learned the importance of like due process, right? Like a lot of things that we're talking about today should be the Attorney General's concern, and how they're going to be able to tell you, like, we don't have to make this our problem yet, is based on your due process. And so I love to talk to people about the importance of telling your council member, going to the interim study, like documenting those things. So by the time you get to that higher office, you can say, no, I've used my due process. And saying those words and knowing how to use those words, that helps you get the attention that you need in order to make change, because as citizens, we're so deeply uneducated in like using our due process rights. It allows these entities to look over us because we don't know how to represent ourselves. And so I'm about it. If you
That and money in politics, but
and I ran a campaign with no money.
Money. Money is the.
Look, I cost my opponent $4 million.
Hell yeah.
Okay? I got 30% of the vote with no money. All protesting, activism, connecting with the community, doing the work, connecting with nonprofits and other organizers. That's what's going to give us a strong voice.
Those billions of dollars that was like, get these 3 Supreme Court judges out. Bitch, you could have been spending that money on people in this fucking state. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Billions of dollars on advertising when we're the shittiest state.
I know.
Like, please invest.
No. It's
invest
so ridiculous.
in the people.
It's so ridiculous.
It's just, I get angry and I'll protest and I'll go to a fucking intern study and be like, this is dumb.
It would just depend on my ADHD level is like a segmented, I got a segmented agenda that I have to do it a certain ways for me to be able to take it all in. So, I rely on other people that put in that hard work and those things that I can't do. And then I just learn off of you getting on and telling me how to do it.
Yeah.
No
problem.
But I like to share the information to people, and that's what I am. I'm a bouncing board to get the information to the people that can and want and are interested in learning more on how to do that. So I hope that any of my clients out there that are watching, because I've got a lot of hair clients that I know that are out there. If you're interested in this subject, keep looking the comments for everything. Plug in, reach out to Lynda and Brittany, learn more.
We're tagged in this, so click on our profiles. We're public people. We return messages. We don't have time to hear everyone's story right now. I will be honest.
We cannot absorb.
We can't
hear your story. It's that final. What did you call it? That dash to the finish line. It's the final dash, and nobody has time to discuss the little things. It's like me on my event day. It's like I have nothing for anything except the organizing of this today.
Yes.
So
like blanket, we believe you. We see you. Please sign it. Please help us. And then afterwards, maybe we can figure something out.
We'll talk about it.
But for real, I'm in praying school too. So I have these 2 weeks to get these signatures, and then I go back to school, and I can only do so much.
Yeah.
And
so much time in the day, what is time? We just need you and you need us, and we need to do the things, and we love you and thank you.
Yeah.
Just ask us and we'll give you whatever you want that is within consent.
Yes, consent's a good, consent. Damn it.
That's right.
Thank you guys for being badasses and not giving up at the hardest times and being a good example of what putting in the hard work and not giving up looks like.
That's right.
Because you guys just meeting 6 weeks, you guys really do gel really well together. So there's always a reason why we come together, and you guys having this thing that brought you together is really cool. And then this thing brought us all together. And,
Right. Yeah.
you know, I really do want to sit with you guys again and talk about some other stuff out there. So
This is what it's called building community. This is what that shit looks like.
Isn't
for
it great?
us.
And we
You
need
know.
it for, us women in Oklahoma, we need to build our community.
Yes, we do.
Like, I firmly believe, like, women can do amazing things. And
We're magic bitches.
we really are. And the more we come together and we're able to share our experience and clap for each other, like, it's odd because I've done a lot of things that, for women, we weren't allowed to be in combat roles. I did become the first female artillery woman, and I've never really shared my story. It was never about me. It was always about, like,
the bigger thing.
opening a doorway, because we've always deserved to be here and have these opportunities and be able to make these choices ourselves. But through those doorways, I've experienced so much discrimination that I can see discrimination in other people, so I became a strong advocate for others and, giving them a voice, because I know how lonely it feels. Like, girl, believe you in me, being the only female on the gun line is not something, you get to walk out of that feeling great about yourself. It was something that I fought to be there for every single day, with multiple people who would much rather see me go sit down and
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and
Stop
even like
trying.
being a rigger, right? Like, please believe that being a rigger has not been easy, because I've had bosses talk about my girl hands. I've had men tell me I've had it makes me so mad. I've had, men tell me that unless they see me pull that point, that it didn't happen,
Man, fuck men. Disenter men. 'Cause I swear to God, I could run loops around every fucking thing a man has ever invented. Come at me, bro. Like, come at me,
And
bro.
really, honestly,
Fuck
when
y'all.
we look at like a lot of the big shit that's been invented, it's really been invented by women a lot of times. It was like
And
people of color
take
or
credit.
women.
Yep.
I was like, really, honestly, if you see some of the stuff come up, it's like, isn't that interesting? You guys give it all to the dudes.
Thanks, Elon. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, Elon.
Yes,
You're so
we
smart.
will have this conversation again, because on the, your roles that you did and how your struggles as a woman, both things, we're going to get in on that again. Because when I recently heard a man say that women didn't belong in combat roles, I instantly thought of Lynda Steele and what would she think about that.
I
was
trying to lay down. We will talk about this later, but I was trying to go to bed and I heard the news in the other room, and I like popped up out of bed. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and I was like looking at my artillery certificate, and I was like, why can't they just let us be here?
And then Lynda got triggered into making a reel about all my fucking accomplishment.
I didn't.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's it.
I'm gonna have to go look.
I don't know if
for
that's
it.
what.
I took all these pictures, and I was like, what the fuck can't we do now? Like, I'm so tired of this
I did
conversation.
think of you instantly when I heard that, though, because I was like, bullshit. Like,
Right.
Lynda did that shit, and I dare you to tell her she can. So on that note, ain't no men, including Dr. Phil or telling us women shit anymore, except for we're fabulous, we can handle it, and you're not going to mansplain shit to us, and you're going to sign the petition, because that's what we need. That's the right and to vote.
And if you're
so
you're a good man, you'll stand with us. Not all y'all are bad.
Oh, my husband's
this
great.
too.
Mine too.
Yeah. There's a few, I guess, but you'll shut up and stand with us and protect us and
just allow us to lead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, allow us to lead. At the end of the day, there's so much respect for men out there. I love men. You know what I mean? Like, I have nothing against men. I've helped men for a very long time. Men have helped me. You know what I mean? Like, I did not learn my skills from a woman because there wasn't women there. And there are good men that are out here. And at the end of the day, it's the state trying to divide us all. And at the end of that day is somebody's getting paid for it. And so we need autonomy. We need our individual rights. We need to hold the state accountable. We need to exercise our rights, or else the state will never hold themselves accountable. And that continues to be proven with Oklahoma being ranked in lowest in everything.
Taking all the rights.
Yep.
Taking all the rights.
Yep.
Well, that was our first session on whatever this is called. Canna Talk About It.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Canna Talk
Said it
About It live. Thank you guys for being our first official Canna Talk About It live. We went live many times, but never like this, and we're gonna do it every Sunday at 4:20. So
Awesome.
if we got one of those spots where we're like, hey, we need to fill a spot, guys. You guys want to talk? All right.
Always.
So thank you
I
guys.
love to talk.
Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna get up and do that awkward walk to the phone to shut it off. But please tune in to Canna Talk About It every Sunday at 4:20 and be aware that we are getting ready to drop Faces of Cannabis, and we have a very powerful story featuring Estella Castro of Austinite Cannabis and her fighting a terminal lung disease.
Get your Kleenexes.
And she's a business owner of 3 years, and just she's fierce too. So, and a shout out to our sponsors, Full Circle Growers, Peace, Love, and all that good stuff. And that good stuff is signing that petition, helping these guys out.
Yes.
Sign it.
Yes,
Get
yes.
to
Thank
the
you.
mail.
We'll see you later.
Okay, awkward.
Thank you.
Walk to the phone
Bye.
now. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Peace out.